The key that unlocks the door. Ooh, it kind of sounds mysterious, right? All right, this story starts a ways back, 2 years ago. We went up to Chico, California, to the YWAM base. We have some very dear friends who work up there, John Paul and Jana Knock, and their leadership for a ministry called Awaken the Dawn. It's a national ministry, but their leadership here in California. Anyway, we went up there for this worship gathering, and during one of the sessions, a very close friend of ours who's also a mentor, Dr. Candy McAlpine, went forward to speak and do a prophetic act for all those who were in attendance. She brought a treasure chest filled with keys that the Lord had allowed her to collect. Big ones, little ones, gold or pewter or brass, silver. So I waited in line. I stepped up to her. She looked at me, smiled. They had prayed a blessing. She reached in to the treasure chest and pulled out a shiny, beautiful, very intricate silver key. Now, I noticed a lot of people immediately started wearing them, putting them on necklaces and wearing them. But for some reason, I immediately took that key and hid it, treasured it. I don't know how to explain this. I didn't even know why, other than I knew it needed to be hidden for a while. And so I zipped it away in this pouch that I had and kept it. Now, flash forward a year later, in 2019, when the year of miracles really began. So we had been invited out 2 times to Washington, D.C. in 2019 during the time of just the preparing and recording of Year of Miracles. One time was out to the White House, and we were at the Trump International Hotel and all the cool things that happened during that time. But there was another time I went out to D.C., and I went out on my own this time. And as I was packing to go, the Lord told me, don't forget about the key. Whoa! Well, I received that key a year before in Chico, California. It had been tucked away. And this is the first time it had come to my mind. And the Lord said, don't forget your key. So I packed it in my jewelry bag. And I said, all right, Lord, I'm going to wear it when I go out there. And I had gone out for this special leadership meeting with Awaken the Dawn. And we had a great time out there. And I want to say it was the 2nd or the 3rd day. We had had some sessions. And I just really needed to stretch my legs and kind of get outside in the fresh air. Our friend who I'd mentioned earlier, Jana, was there, and I said, hey, Jana, you want to go outside and go on a walk with me? And she said, that sounds great. You know, we had a break time. It was perfect timing. So I grabbed the baby, and I said, okay, where are we going to go? And she said, I know the perfect place, but it's a surprise. Follow me. Well, all right. I was up for a good adventure, so off we went. And it was getting late. I knew the evening session was coming soon, and we walked quite a ways. We came around the corner, and there before me stood the most beautiful cathedral I think I'd ever seen. What is this place? I asked, and she said, Jessie, this is the National Cathedral. Well, I'm embarrassed to say I knew we had a national monument. I didn't realize we had a national cathedral. So I looked it up, and this came from a vision from George Washington. He had a vision, he said, of a great church used for national purposes. How amazing is that? Now, I'm sure it's passed through different hands, through the years. But how cool that this whole thing was a vision from George Washington. So we're coming up close, and we see everybody leaving, and we look at the clock. Oh, no. She said, Jessie, I think it's closed now. I said, no. It can't be closed. We haven't come this far for it to be closed. Follow me. I see a side door open. So we walked through the very first door, a side door, and we walked in and kind of smiled and waved hello to some people we saw there kind of cleaning up the cathedral, shutting it down. But they didn't say anything. They just waved, and so we kept going. We walked through a double set of doors that were still wide open. And at that point, my friend, she started, I think, live streaming because it was so beautiful. All the windows and the ceiling, it was so high. It was just amazing. But I felt drawn to this back corridor. And so I kept walking. I saw her filming and kind of going straight forward and to the right. And I kept walking straight forward to the back of this cathedral with the baby. I came to a second set of giant doors that were propped open. So baby and I walked through. We came through and saw the most beautiful paintings. Get this. You know what the name of that room was? Chapel of the Holy Spirit. Yes, please. So we just enjoyed ourselves. We stayed in there, and suddenly I heard my name called, Jessie Ann, to my right, through another door that dropped down into a lower room, and another doorway. I mean, how many doors have we gone through at this point? I'm not counting. What is this? 4, 5, or 6 doors that were just open before us. And I dropped down into this room after we came through the chapel of the Holy Spirit, and it was a room about Jesus. I just felt overwhelmed with his presence, and I spent some time with the Lord in there, speaking to him, praying. The baby was sound asleep on my shoulder, and I was looking at these great pieces of art, and I said, Lord, I don't know who's in charge of this cathedral now, but I know whoever painted this, they knew you in an intimate way. And I just longed to have this intimacy with you, Father. And I spent some time, and all of a sudden I became aware, wait, how long have I been in here? I feel like I've been in here quite a while. And where's Jana? Because I thought she called my name, Jessie Ann. And it was at that moment that I realized almost no one knows that my given name is Jessie Ann. Pretty much everybody in my life right now knows me as Jessie. Now, so people from our church or my childhood know me as Jessie Ann, but nowadays I'm introduced to everybody pretty much as Jessie. So I knew it couldn't have been Jana because she didn't yet know that my name was Jessie Ann. Who had called me in here? Well, I think we all know who had called me in there. And I just felt like I was floating. I just felt so close with the Lord, but I knew, how long have I been in here? I got to go. So I stand up, baby's still sleeping, and I go through all those rooms, through all the doors out to the main cathedral. Nobody's in there. Jana's not there. The people who were working, none of them were in there. And I see kind of like this crowd out front of the doors, and I saw Jana looking through the glass doorway, and there was an officer standing there, and he was shutting, there's this like outer door. I can't remember if it was like a metal grate or some sort of outer door that goes and protects the doorway so that no one can break in at night. And as I'm quickly trying to walk without waking up the baby, I go, hold the door. Wait, I'm here. I reach up and I touch the key that's around my neck. I could not believe that was the morning that I had put on this key that had been hidden away, tucked away for a year. That was the morning that I felt prompted to slip this silver key on my silver chain. And I immediately thought the key that opens the door is intimacy with him. And that I'm sure we've all heard this many times, that he qualifies the called. He doesn't just call the qualified, but if he calls you, he opens the doors. If he's calling you into something, don't be afraid based on your education or your background. If he's calling you, he will qualify you for the call. He will open doors that no man can shut, and he will shut doors that man may try to open. And the key is that intimacy with him. I want to mention this. As I was quickly going over the threshold to leave, I stumbled on it because there was some sort of a grate or something there on the threshold, and I stumbled, and I was trying to hold the baby who was still sleeping on my chest with one arm, and I stumbled against the police officer, and by mistake, I touched his gun holster. Now, I was afraid in that moment because we've all seen videos, right, online that this can go south really fast. But he kind of laughed and he said, "You okay, ma'am?" And I went, "Yes, I am okay. Thank you." And I went out. "I'm so sorry, Jana. I'm sure you were worried. I thought you called me back there. It's a long story." The Lord called me back there. I thought it was you, and I had to explain the story to her. And I thought, isn't this funny, Lord? Somebody in a position of authority that really, it could have gone wrong in that moment. Even the person in the position of authority was arms open wide, welcoming, and even smiling. And again, as you hear this, just be reminded, if he's calling you into something, he is going to prepare the way. He is going to qualify you. And even those who could seem threatening or shut it down, they might just smile with arms open wide. Wow, the key that opens the door. These things says he who is holy, he who is true, he who has the key of David, he who opens and no one shuts, and shuts and no one opens. I know your works. See, I have set before you an open door, and no one can shut it. For you have a little strength, have kept my word, and have not denied my name. Revelation 3:7 and 8.